Hi, I'm Aileen Eakins. I'm a real estate advisor with Engel and Volkers here in Victoria on beautiful Vancouver Island. And today I have asked my good friend Miles Fournier, who's a financial advisor with IG Wealth. And in full disclosure, I'm going to tell you, Miles is my financial investment advisor. And I think we've actually been together, Miles, for about, I was thinking about it today, I think about 15 years.
It's got to be almost that.
Almost that.
Somewhere between 12 and 15.
Yeah. And here's what we wanted to talk about today is both Miles and I are involved in investment in some way. I've got the real property side, and Miles has the more nebulous side of investment.
And
I mean, which is harder to really talk about, isn't it? Because it's not that concrete thing necessarily.
Exactly. It's very fluid. It's very almost generic.
Right. Yeah. One of the reasons that, Miles and I have formed such an affiliation and a friendship is because when I go into his office to talk about investments, he gets this twinkle in his eye and a bounce in his step as he shares with me the good news.
It's always fun.
I know. I gotta say,
investments.
Miles, I mean, I honestly, I love our conversations because, first of all, they're wide ranging, but you are so knowledgeable about what you do.
So even in the bad times,
Even in the bad times,
okay.
you deliver, you always sandwich the bad news. Oh, sorry. Little wasp. You always sandwich the bad news. You do the good news, the bad news, the good news.
Very good.
So listen, why don't you tell us a little bit about your business from the perspective of the pandemic?
Pandemic has been interesting, to say the least. The company itself has closed down all our offices across the country. So we're all working out of our own homes. Including the back-end staff, the admin staff, everybody, computer staff. It's been quite interesting. It's got us more into communicating via phone, and a lot of Zoom meetings or MS meetings is one of the products we use. But a lot of phone calls and just communicating that way and making sure people know that I'm there and giving them my cell phone number and that type of thing.
So in an emergency, can they call you in the middle of the night?
I don't know about the middle of the night, but they've got my cell phone. They can if they want.
Miles, what's happening now?
What's happening in China?
Now, I've got to ask you, has what's happened in the global economy over the last 6 months changed the type of product that you're promoting to your clients?
Not so much the product. I mean, the long-term aspects of financial planning is, we look for investments that invest in good companies, and they're good companies in good times and bad times. Now, there's some glitches in that. I mean, nobody would have thought Air Canada would be, or WestJet, or Hertz Rent-A-Car. There are some certainly major hits taken by certain companies, but most companies who are good long-term companies are there for the long term, and they're going to grow. They're going to keep on making money. They'll devise ways to do it.
Kind of like real estate, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
And of course, today we're here in the beautiful gardens at Government House. And Miles, when was the last time that you walked through the gardens?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. I love that. Well, listen, let's take our viewers on a bit of a stroll through the park. Let's go.
Okay.
So, what do you think about this property for real estate?
This isn't a bad piece of property. I don't know if it's for sale or not, though. You have to ask her Majesty.
I guess we'll leave that one for the books, right? When you're talking to clients, and I know that for myself, when we're talking about investment, do you recommend real estate as a good investment?
It's part of the whole package. Like when I'm talking to people, it's about their financial plan and their personal financial plan. So their personal financial plan does include real estate. It includes investments. It includes insurance. It includes all kinds of things, liabilities, mortgages, the whole shooting match.
All those things.
So you put them all together. Specifically in my case, because I'm an accountant, it covers taxes, a lot of tax planning.
Yeah, I hate that part.
It wasn't a fun spring.
And I really believe that people buy real estate for different reasons. I'm going to say the majority of people buy real estate because it's where they're going to live. It's where they're going to build their families and their life, et cetera, et cetera. But real estate is also a good investment product as well. So you live in your home for 30 years or whatever, and of course you're hoping that you're going to build a lot of equity, and it does become the retirement package for a lot of people.
Exactly.
Particularly in our age category. Should we say that?
And I talk to a lot of people about plans further down the road, and if something happens to them, if they get ill or whatever, and a lot of people consider their principal residence as the asset that they will use if they are put into or volunteer to go into a retirement home or whatever. That's the asset base to fund that liability.
Right. And now, of course, there's a lot of pressure on young people these days to get into the real estate market as well. How can they use their investment funds to either buy themselves or from family to help them move into their first time home?
They can use their RSPs. They can use a home buyer's plan through their RSPs to get together the down payment. They can always borrow from their parents if
beg of mom and dad,
if available. And if they can get enough of an asset base together, then they can reduce the CMHC fees, that kind of thing.
And now, Miles, you've probably been reading about the CMHC changes, and do you think that is going to have an effect on either of our businesses?
I can't see it on mine as much. On yours,
possibly.
Potentially. I guess it really depends how people read into it.
Yeah. Well, listen, let's head over to the Rose Garden.
Okay.
So here we are in the Rose Garden, and it looks absolutely spectacular today. We are so blessed.
Oh, we're so lucky to live in this city with this so close to both of us. I mean, walking distance and in the middle of the city.
In the middle of the city. I love that. And even though it's not for sale, it's still a beautiful piece of real estate. I wanted to ask Miles a little bit about moving RSPs into RIFs, because as the aging population, nobody here of course, starts to move forward, how do we handle our RSPs moving into RIFs? Like to me is the sort of that stunning question that totally confounds me. Can you make it simple for me?
Well, I can try. Now, RSPs are in some cases a major asset class of a lot of people in our age group and younger and older. But moving them over is timely, and if done efficiently, it can generate both more income and reduce your tax load, and even reduce some of the clawbacks that the lovely federal government impose on us. So the timing is pretty crucial. There is a time limit. You can't have an RSP after you're 71, but you can convert it earlier than that if the consequences or if the circumstances are in the right categories.
So it's not something to fear, but something to embrace, and with good guidance is what I'm hearing from you.
Exactly. You can manipulate it to make it better for you and maybe less good for the federal government.
Those are the words that we definitely like to hear. Yes. Now, when should somebody start RSPs? Like, is there like a minimum or a maximum? How do we judge what we should be doing?
You have to be 19 to start an RSP, but you can start at any time, and usually the earlier you start, the better. Even if it's $25 a month or whatever, just start popping it away, and compounding rates of return has a tremendous effect on it. Usually, a lot of the time, what happens is people will start slow. As they get into their older years, they've got rid of their mortgage. They can start contributing more and more, and then at the end, they've got enough to be a nice backdrop to either their Canada pension, CPP, OAS, or if they're good enough to have a pension, then excess income on that.
So I think that the two of us can totally agree that we are truly integrated service providers because we both offer investments from different points of view, and they are both necessary in helping us to move towards a good portfolio. Would you agree?
You bet, and a good asset base for either yourself or an estate.
I'm really actually hoping to spend my children's inheritance and have really a lot of fun.
Exactly. They won't need it.
Who knows how much there is. Anyways, Miles, I want to thank you so much for joining me in the beautiful gardens today. It's always a pleasure to spend time with you.
Yeah.
And you always bring such valuable information to me, and I am so grateful for our relationship because it's gone from just being a purely professional one to really having a true friendship. So for that, I am truly grateful.
And myself as well.
And if you have any questions for Miles, I'm going to leave his contact information in our thread below. And of course, you know where to find me. I'm Aileen Eakins, a real estate advisor with Engel and Volkers. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we can make more interesting videos for you. Thanks again.